Raise your hand and I'll get a microphone to you. Nathan, go ahead, Sars.
Matt, just a game where, for most of this game, I think you guys did what you wanted to do. The way Illinois was able to close it out, what did you think defensively, what did or didn't happen there?
Yeah, I thought they made some good plays. Obviously, like to have some things back defensively and be able to get a few more stops. But like you said, like we got what we wanted the whole night in terms of the shot selection, and had some shots there in the last 5-6 minutes that were really quality shots that didn't go down for us. We had the ball in the hands of the people that we wanted to, and people that we'll continue to go back to. But proud of our guys, man. Some shots didn't go down, but I thought from a rebounding standpoint, they only get 5 offensive rebounds in the game after they got every offensive rebound in the last game. I thought that was a pretty impressive effort for us. We're not the greatest rebounding team in the world, but I thought our effort was great. We took care of the basketball. We only had 8 turnovers just like them. And we just got to keep taking those shots, man. Those are quality shots across the board. And a lot of the actions that we were running, were really successful. And sometimes from a results base, if you don't make some, you look at it like it doesn't work, when in reality those guys make those shots a lot. So I thought at halftime, like Trey Kaufman was like 6 for 11. I thought all 5 of his misses were shots he normally makes. And you're not going to make all of them, but getting him 23 shots, getting Braden 19 shots, and liking the quality of shots. Braden's one at the end of the half, I don't think was a good shot. But besides that, I thought those guys did a really good job. We had to be better, a little bit sharper defensively there if we weren't going to convert some of those shots at the end of the game.
Matt, lineups with Cam in it at the 4 seemed to really work today.
Yes.
How big was it for him to get fouled out in the last 2.5 minutes?
Yeah. He did a lot of good things for us. Sometimes just being out there, if you look at his stat line, it's not gonna, wow you or anything. But like sometimes that's what it is, right? Like you're just better when somebody's out there on the court. This was one of those games where we were better when he was on the court. But no, you want what's working. I thought when we subbed midway through the first half, I thought our bench came in and did some really good things, and we went on a nice run there, and he was a part of that. Then when we did it in the second half, we weren't quite as good, and so that's the misleading thing sometimes in coaching, like when you get that group together and now they play well, and that's kind of how I rotate, how I take out people there in the middle. And so we've seen that where it doesn't work for us and it hasn't worked for us. It's kind of the both halves were different for us. I thought they played really well in that half, but sometimes like you're with people out there and it really helps you, and sometimes it's the other way, right? But no, Cam's been great. Cam's really worked hard.
Matt, when you were prepping for this game and you were scouting KJ and Riley, what kind of jumped out about those guys? There's been a lot of NBA talk about them, maybe even like Luka comparisons with Jekachonis, like Terry Halliburton talking with Riley. I mean, one thing you thought about that.
Right. Yeah, it just depends on what they're going to go to as much. Like if they're going to go to more ball screen stuff with Jekachonis, his ability to pass. So you don't want to give him angles. We're not in the ability all the time, especially when you play from the top, to be able to get him to as we can. A lot of times with great players, when you try to get them one way or the other, you're creating angles for him, and that's the one thing that you don't. You want to take his space up to the best of your ability and not give him angles. Like he made that tough shot there at the end and he scored over us. Like that's what you want him to do. Doesn't mean he can't make it. It just means it's kind of the lesser of all evils. Will Riley is just a real tough matchup for anybody, just with his size and his skill level and his ability to to make a three, to make a pull up, to drive, to kind of play with kind of a back down game when he gets somebody smaller on him. But they're both very dangerous players, very talented players. It's hard to adjust into college. It's easier for Jekachonis just because he, from day one he had the basketball and he played and he can kind of work through things. Riley sometimes earlier on didn't play as much, and now here when it's got the conference season, you just see that kind of talent. You just got to be positive with those guys, and you can get them to score. I always tell them we can't rebound your turnover. Those really talented cats. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just don't turn the basketball over. Play, have fun. You miss 4 or 5 shots in a row, cool. Make the next one, because they're so good. right? Both of those guys are so good, just like keep getting shots, keep making the right play, stay positive, keep learning. But they're really good, man. They're really good players.
Right.
Man, I don't think it was a high volume of turnovers tonight, but in the first half when Trey came out, it was back-to-back turnovers, and then when he came out in the second half, it was 2 and 3 possessions.
Yeah.
Is there something to that where it kind of takes away the destination player or anything
No,
like
it
that?
has nothing to do with it. It's a lack of concentration because they didn't force them. You know, we had, it's like tennis, those unforced errors. You go, especially the 2 in the first half. Like we just turned it over. One was a post feed, and then we just got too deep the other time, if I got it right. So no, obviously you want him. When I play him, like obviously he plays 35 minutes. Like when I look back and he plays, like I always say, like, do we get more from him if we play him like at 32, 35? Like, I don't know. You always second guess. Like that's what I try to do with Fletch and get him around 30 because I think that gives us more. In the first half when Fletch was out, we made a good run. And in the second half when Fletch was out, we did not. And so you kind of look at, there's other variables, right? So like you're saying that, like it just, you can't just magnify one variable. There's a lot of other things that happen on the court, why somebody's in or somebody's out. But when you see a pattern, that's when, now you gotta be able to do it. But you gotta give them a rest. You gotta give guys a rest and hopefully they can play better when they're in there.
Matt, obviously tonight's Braden's last statement to make for Player of the Year voting. He gets 1 rebound shy of a triple-double. Just his performance tonight, but then also answering that, preseason, what could be a monkey on some guy's back, and he, lived up to it.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's very unselfish. He's a winner. I know he doesn't look at it that way. I mean, we're disappointed we didn't win the Big Ten. He won the Big Ten his first 2 years, so we're all disappointed. And sometimes when that happens, it's kind of hard to be able to look at anything else because you're not really concerned with it. Like you're going to help your cause if you just keep winning. And those guys have won a lot. Braden's won a lot, but to kind of look at his stat line tonight and then kind of some of the situations there at the end, we just keep encouraging him to be positive, and just keep taking it and keep being aggressive. Like just keep staying with it. And sometimes when you make a lot of right decisions, it just doesn't go your way. And but no, he's been great. In my opinion, he's the best player in this league. They call it the most valuable player, right? He's pretty valuable. Like who rebounds like him, who gets assists like him, who scores like him. Leads the league in steals or second in steals. Like he's pretty good. He's pretty good for a guy that had 1 high major offer. He's damn good. I think he'll play 10 years in the NBA. I think he's fabulous. He affects winning. Sometimes we get away from that. We look at a lot of different things, but he affects winning on both ends of the court.
Joe in the back.
You stayed one-on-one in the post, maybe more in this game than any other game all season. Was that trust in first defense ability or more just trying to take away Visic's passing ability and Illinois' cutting?
All of the above. All of the above. We had Trey Kaufman out in rotations because we wanted first on Ivisic, and we wanted to high hedge that. We didn't want Yakachonis to be able to get into the paint just anytime he wanted to. So we normally play drop with those guys or we steer into a switch. Tonight we wanted to do that. And then once we kind of saw rotations, like for whatever reason, they can't take guys that dive. And it drives me nuts. Like just take the guys that dive, let them throw it out. Let's play into closeouts. It's not ideal, but you're keeping the ball out of the paint. So when we keep the ball out of the paint, we have more success. I know they hit some tough ones late, but just through the year, through this whole year and our data that we have, it makes more sense for this team to do that. So we just stayed at home then. Obviously, he got that one little jump hook. We got a jump ball out of another one, and then we just were gonna, make him score over us and hopefully keep him out of the middle, especially when he's on that right block going to his left. That was the one that was dangerous, but he went the other way and got the basket, but it was just so deep. Like you don't want those to be layups, you want them to be post moves. And we didn't get him as, we didn't keep him out as much, but our inability to handle them diving, which I don't know why, but like we just didn't take divers. It drives me crazy. But we didn't, so we just did, that's why we adjusted.
Matt, right here.
Thank you.
Just wondering, every season has its ebbs and flows, and
Right.
Illinois has obviously dealt with injuries and illness, but what do you see from them right now as they enter March? Because obviously a lot of people thought they were dangerous.
I think they're a really talented offensive team. I think they cause a lot of problems. Like if you kind of look at like at Oregon and at Indiana and a couple home games, they can blitz you, right? But they take the 5th most threes in the country and they make like the 330th, right? So it's whoa, like that's like that doesn't happen normally. I don't know if that's ever happened for a team that we've competed against. So, but how did they win the game here at the end? They made some threes, right? Yeah, and so like they're capable, but like everybody, like they got 2 guys in the 20s. They got like 7 dudes from like 30 to 35. Like how do you gauge it if you're just not a team that can take everything away? We're not a team that can take everything away. We're a really good offensive team. We're the 10th best offensive team in the country. We're the 50th best defense. We're not as good defensively. They're not as good defensively. And so like we needed to score more. That's terrible to say, right? From a coaching standpoint, we need to score more, but we got the shots to do it. Like, and so like for me, they're one of those teams that could just blitz people in the NCAA tournament. Like they can just go, but if they get in one of those ruts, they could be there, that could be them. And that's, you gotta have balance. You gotta have balance. But when you're dealing with people, and I know why he does it, because you just keep them confident. Like you want your players to be confident, but you gotta get to the free throw line and get some layups sometimes. Not sometimes, you have to. Like you gotta steal some points, and that's when we got that lead there late in the game. Like they got some layups, they got the and one, they got a couple drives, they got to the free throw line, they got the bonus. Like we got the bonus there at the end. I think it was sympathy, but we didn't get the bonus in the first half. Like you got to be able to get free throws and layups in this game, and especially when you get onto a neutral court, you just do. But it's going to be how the wind blows for them, because like they can beat anybody in the country and they get it going. I know they had a tough game against Duke, but they can. They can. Like if you see that Oregon game and you see that at Indiana, you see a couple of these home games, like they have like spurts, 4 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever, and then they've had a handful of games where they're just nasty, right? But then they've had other games where it's like, hey, let's drive the basketball, let's get inside. But for them to be at a peak level against an elite team, whatever, they got to shoot them threes and make them. And if they do, now that they can get some people on the ropes, then they can make a long run in the tournament. They're talented, man. They're very, very talented. I like his offensive system. You got to have guys that can pass. You got to have guys that can pass the basketball. When they're really passing the basketball, they're dangerous.
Go Casey and then Brian.
Matt, I know it's part of being on the road, but Trey again goes, I think he takes like 23 field goals and only gets to the line 3 times.
Yeah.
Was there some frustration that the whistle wasn't even both ways?
The frustration with him. Yeah, with him. This doesn't make sense at times. Like the way he's to their defense, he's all over the place sometimes. Like his legs are going out, his arms are going out. But he's when they call small change things, and then they leave that alone. Like I just don't understand the consistency of that. So, but like I wouldn't say that from a team standpoint. I just say individually for him. If you go out and you watch, okay, this gets called, that gets called. Now when he's in the post and that's playing, but you also got to go back and look. Like if he initiates it, right, that's on him. That's on him. So if he's initiating that contact, and so when you're going back into people, so those are tough calls for the officials. But yeah.
Brian. Go ahead.
Yeah, that kind of transitions into my question. A couple of these losses on the road especially, you've not just been playing with a team at the end, you've been playing the bonus.
Right.
It's kind of racking up on your early and halves. The obvious answer is foul less and draw more, but is there any need to kind of get out in front of that so it doesn't catch up with you at the end?
Yeah, like we try not to foul. Like 2 years ago, we were the number 1 team in the country in fewest fouls. Like we've been up there 3 years in a row in the Big Ten. We've committed the fewest fouls. This year we have not. But we're not terrible in that area. We just got to be better. Like you got to worry about what you can control, and we got to be better. So it's just interesting that it gets us only on the road, right? So like that to me, like you know, but it's hard for me before I watch tape because I'm pretty good with it. But half the game in front of me, I'm not real good at the other end. I'm not real good at gauging things. So you go back and watch tape, but they got a tough job.
Thank you, guys.